So there you go. Welcome to Super League Raw. That one will have caught even Reggie and Steph out this evening. As you can see, new tunes for 2024. We say goodbye to the old Super League Raw theme tune. Let me explain why. It's because of copyright. That's what it is. We need to be very careful this year. Because obviously we're going out live across 3 different platforms, and we need to make sure that the music that we use will not get us blocked on any of them. So it's as well the good ship Super League Raw first theme tune. We wish it well, but that is the new one.
Off its sails.
Off its sails. So new
and
tune.
Here's Steph's sail.
Absolutely. I see exactly what you did there.
Did you see what I did there?
I most certainly did. The usual crew are coming in. Tony Pennington, good evening to you. Kevin Ogden, Freddie McGilvey, Greg Roach, and we will keep giving shout-outs throughout the show. We may even bring you on screen this year. Steph, your first outing. Welcome back to Super League Raw, my friend.
Yeah, great to be back. It's been a long off-season, but yeah, really excited and good to whet the appetite with the Warrington friendly the other day.
Well, we'll get to that. We will get to that. Don't you worry about that. We will most certainly get to that. But plenty to get through this evening. As you can see down there, please do comment in the chat if you've got something useful to say. We will, of course, put that up on the screen and we'll have a chat around it. So get really involved in the chat this year. You get the opportunity of coming on screen your comments in 2024, which is absolutely marvellous. Right, okay, guys, let's get the show off and running. First and foremost, what we're going to talk about first. What I wanted to do is I wanted to talk about the Fantasy League launch today. This has caused absolute ruptions. I'm led to believe that there's going to be 2. I think this could be quite smart on the part of Super League, actually, that the usual Fantasy League is probably going to be launched in the next couple of days. The free one, the one that we're all used to. But we've seen over the last couple of days a lot of really good sound bites from around the game. Players getting the cards, and I think everybody's really, really excited about this new game that we were getting until today. We got the links for it to find that we have to pay $14.99 for players. Gents, over to you, Greg. What's your thoughts?
Well, to be honest, I'm still scratching my head as what you have to do. That there's free cards, and then you pay for other cards.
Yeah.
Different cards are released each season, then there's each week, or every now and again, and then there's a mad scramble to get the best card.
Yeah,
I think Panini cornered that market many years ago. It just, again, great intentions, but not quite thought out. I don't think.
Totally misjudged the market. I think, Steph, would you say the rugby league community? This isn't NFL. It's not Premier League. Your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean. It's quite. I mean, I'm not really down with the kids when it comes to the FIFA and all that kind of thing. But I was hoping it'd be something me and my daughter would get involved with and trade cards and that kind of thing. But if anyone's interested, I've got Lucky Lamb for 120 quid.
Yeah, well, I mean, I've had a look at it as you'd expect me to. At first, I thought that was going to be the fans forum, but I did see on the feed from Runu that actually the Super League Raw, so the Super League one was actually going to be running alongside it. Thank the Lord. But basically, I mean, I don't know about you, this is almost a Liz Truss moment for the Rugby Football League, and the fact that we've gone too fast, too hard, too fast. Last week they launched Super League Plus. Steph will get your view on that in a minute, but last week we discussed it with Joel, myself, Greg. Thought it was a great bit of value for $129.99, and I think the rugby league community would have quite happily invested that, to see every game and all the rest of it. To then off the back of that, a week later, go to the same people in a cost of living crisis and say, right, you get 5 players, you need to pick 2 backs, 2 forwards, and a scrum half. We're going to give you 5 to begin with, and then you go and pay for them. Now, the spirit of a fantasy league, and actually, I promised, I think it was Vanessa, I promised Vanessa Grange, and her comments are going to come up on screen now there at the bottom. Vanessa had a great point. She was really excited. She went on our Facebook forum today. She was really excited about it until she saw the prices that she said is ridiculous. From $1.99 to $14.99. Complete and utter rip-off. It's supposed to be fun. Completely agree with Vanessa. I thought it was a really, really good comment that she put on our Facebook page today. Complete letdown after all the euphoria of what it could possibly have delivered. I mean, had it have been like pay $1.99 for 10 cards, and in there will maybe be a few odd ones, and then you can trade £1.99 for 10, then maybe, but £14.99.
But it's more than it's more. You could get a Super League Plus subscription for less.
Yes, yeah, you can.
Yeah. It's true.
I watch it for real instead of playing silly games.
Yeah, it's.
I just think that where did he come up with these figures? Who thinks that £14.99 for what is all intents and purposes a Panini sticker is value for money? £1.99 for a pack of 10 is like you say, is good value. It's
like Panini stickers, isn't it? And I think they could have got some traction on that. But I think for me, it's completely. I mean, a target audience for this type of thing is kids. I mean, what parent's going to let a kid pay £14.99 for a sticker? It's just not the way it is. And I think what my concern here, and look, we've been waiting for IMG to get involved. I know this is Rooney, but you'd expect the handprints on this a little bit. My concern here is who in the Rugby Football League is educating IMG that this isn't NFL. This is predominantly an M62 corridor sport at this moment in time. Yeah. And I'm not going to be disparaging over the towns that play this, but let's be absolutely clear. This isn't London. Yeah. And what this particular fantasy league is going to do for me is if you've got a bit of coin, you've got a chance of winning it. Because people are saying, well, but you can play it for free. You're not going to win this fantasy league for free. You're not going to win it because people are going to pay £14.99 for players. You've got no chance. So for me, it's not in the spirit of rugby league, is it?
I think the biggest problem for me is like I think I'm quite savvy with stuff. Like I say, I'm not down with the kids in terms of the FIFA kind of thing or whatever, but I couldn't understand it whatsoever. I went to look on YouTube to see if there was any like this is how you do it or whatever kind of thing, and I couldn't find anything on there. So I think I don't know. I can't decide whether it's a good thing or a bad thing because I can't use it and I don't understand it. So that in itself says the people who produced it have done a terrible job because you should be able to understand it from the off.
Well, exactly. And, there's going to come a point where later in the season, people will be going to trading these cards at scandalous prices.
Well, Warrington tried something like this, didn't they, with some sort of digital card a couple of seasons ago?
What they called.
Fell down like a pack of cards. They are.
Yeah.
There's one for you.
It was those digital trading, wasn't it, that they tried?
The cards will end up worth more than the players' their actual selves.
Actually, I thought Kingdom had a good game, mate. Behave yourself. You know what I mean? No need for that. All right, well, look, we've had a chat about that. We said we would do. Look, we're not going to be doing a fantasy league, guys, a Super League Raw this year, if that's what it is. I'm sorry. It just will be unfair because people, the winner's going to be people that can maybe spend $14.99 on one of them stickers. That's not in the spirit of Super League Raw. We'll come up with something else for this season. However, if the official Super League one, as we know it, is launched this week, which they're saying it will be, then of course it will come back this year because Ryan Birch won his shirt last year and we will announce that next week. We would expect between now and next week that will be announced. Right then, guys, let's move on to the next thing. TalkSport, sign up till 2025, 40 games per year. Good news?
Yeah. I think it's really, really good news. A step in the right direction. The BBC showing games, TalkSport getting involved can only be good. I can't see any negatives in this one.
No, the more broadcasters, be that visual or audio, streaming, whatever it is, the more platforms this game's over, the better for me.
Yeah, absolutely. No, couldn't agree with you more. So good for. I mean, obviously they're up against live games this year in terms of commentary, and actually the Sky commentators have improved. So hey, you know what? You might still listen to Sky this year. That'll be wouldn't it? Right, we'll move on at a pace. The bunker. I'm going to move on to this one with you guys. I don't know if you saw it, so I'm going to read this out verbatim, and then we can have a chat about it. Leeds played Hull KR this week, and it was in terms of the stream and in terms of the video referee, it was a trial game for the new season. And Rowan Smith, I saw Rowan Smith's interview after the game. Obviously, I didn't watch the game. If you were there at the game, get in the chat. What was it like? Because Rowan Smith, and I'm going to read it verbatim, said, the video referee intervening for penalties and off the ball stuff, that's going to be a real sapper to the game. It's going to stop the flow of the game. I think the match review committee can deal with that kind of stuff, keep the game going. But if that's the way it goes, the games are going to be slow, and both teams would have said that today. He even said that certain players of his come off and said it didn't help their conditioning at all. There was too much stop-start. This has gone under the radar for me. I didn't realise that they were going to increase the brief of the video referee to things like penalties. And my concern here is that we're not football, but I pray to God that we don't get situations where players are falling around injured, waiting for the bunker to have a look at it to try and get players sent off. It's happened in every other sport. It'll happen in this. It's gamesmanship. Should it just simply be for try, no try?
Has it been confirmed that this is actually going to happen in the season? Because I know during pre-season they do trial a lot of things. I know Warren Turley, the former referee, touch judge at the moment, he was saying they were testing out again the above the collar but shoulder tackle kind of thing, which is obviously not coming in until the season after, is it? They were saying on that. So is it actually going to be coming in? And if it is, then obviously I think everyone would be concerned about slowing it down. Bans coming for players. I mean, we see enough bans as it is. We want to see the players on the pitch, not sat in the stands. So if you're going to scrutinise and micromanage a game of rugby league, then that's going to take the whole ethos and excitement out of the game.
Yeah, again, it works well in Australia. It works well in rugby union. There's no reason why it shouldn't work well in rugby league. But if
it's serious foul play, that's different.
It's a difficult one. Say again, sorry, Steph.
If it's serious foul play, someone's come in and bitten somebody, or done something really serious that warrants a red card, then absolutely the bunker should step in. I think all you need is that and captain's challenge. That's it.
Mate. And again, that for me is massive, isn't it? Absolutely massive. I mean, like I say.
I say it works in rugby union. We do see we've seen some dodgy red cards given out in rugby union over the last couple of seasons, but it seems to have calmed down. It seems to be working well. It worked quite well in the Six Nations over the weekend. Yeah. It works well in Australia. There's no reason why it shouldn't work well over here.
No. Well, Steve Cartledge on Facebook, that's what he's got to say. When will people stop tampering with the game? And we couldn't agree with you more, Steve. VAR in football is a warning, Greg, isn't it?
It is. I agree. But my biggest bugbear, rather than bringing this into to look, as Steph says, for serious incidents, is that we need to stop taking retrospective action on incidents that the referee has either dealt with or not deemed worthy of punishment on the pitch.
Yeah.
This is the thing that's ruining the game for me. The fact that you can go through a game, not get a yellow card, not get a penalty given against you, and then on the Tuesday you're banned for 4 games because the disciplinary committee has decided you've done something untoward. That is the thing that needs ironing out. And again, the try, the no try. If you're sending it up to the video ref, let them make the decision. They are the things that I am more concerned about. Plus the fact that the RFL seem to change the rules at the beginning of every season. Yeah. And then halfway through, because of coaches complaining, they're forgotten about. Or they let drift. So they're my biggest concern. You've got me started already. We're only 2 shows.
I mean, it's interesting. Last week we kept a lid on it, and look, we do this show because we want rugby league to get the gravitas that it deserves. We all believe it's the greatest sport on earth. But these type of things that are starting to now creep in, if you want to bring a new audience in, the last thing you want is for these things to detract from the great sport that it is. And I think when coaches and players and fans are all saying the same thing, I'm sorry, governing bodies, but you've got to start. These are, especially the fans, because the fans are the ones who are bringing the money into the game. So you've got to be really careful. Steph, I'll let you have the final say on this one. Anything you'd like to add?
Yeah, I totally agree. Obviously, I don't want to, before the horse has bolted kind of thing. We've not even kicked the ball yet in anger. So let's see what happens. But the last thing that this sport needs is sterilisation. It's been founded on, brutality, commitment, all that kind of things. And if we're going to go down the route of you cannot put a foot wrong, or anything that's slightly potentially could cause an injury to somebody, then that's just going to kill the sport. And I don't think they will go down that route. And I think, like you say, normally when the coaches and everyone starts moaning about it, it does tend to get calmed down. It's a bit, every time we've seen it at the start of the season where you get 15, 20 penalties for a head-eye tackle because that was the latest thing, and it always calms down. But
yeah,
let's see what happens.
What is absolutely wonderful about this year is it's a lot easier to manage the show. This wouldn't have happened last year, but we've had a great comment in the chat. Let's get back to being a bit more positive. We don't know who it is. It's just a Facebook user. They're staying anonymous. Just shy of £13 million. The Catalan Dragons going to invest in doing up their stadium. Absolutely outstanding news. I mean, Steph, you've been to Perpignan a few times. This is great news for the sport. Great to see Catalan investing for the future.
Absolutely. I think, I've always been a big backer of Catalan and Toulouse when we were in the championship. Going those trips over to France are some of the best memories I've ever had in rugby league. And Perpignan is a special place. And if you've never been, I urge you to go, because if you like red wine and you like beef, then it's absolutely amazing.
Oh yes.
On a serious side, though, it's such a cultural place. It's amazing, and it's already a brilliant facility. And even Toulouse were playing at Stade Toulouse Rugby Union Ground, which again is an unbelievable stadium. But I think it's taking Catalan to the next level. If they're going to do this stadium development, which it sounds like they are, then I might even go watch a Warrington game over there as well, just to get another trip in.
Hey, happy days. We'd all agree that's great. Right then, guys, let's focus our attention on some of the pre-season friendlies that took place this week. I think it's important that we do that. I mean, of course, you guys we'll get into this bit by bit, but let's have a quick look at the results as they were. Of course, Warrington, the Joe Philbin testimonial, 28 points to 12 in the favour of Steph's Leigh Leopards. We'll be all over that in a minute. Catalan Dragons, 88 points to 6 against an Elite One side. Hull FC, 40 points to 0 loss against the Wigan Warriors. Oldham, 18-all against the Broncos. Rhinos, 26-18 against Hull KR. Tigers, 20-14 against the Giants. And Saints, 52 points to 10 against the Salford Red Devils, guys. Bringing you back in on this. Let's start with that Warrington game. What I'll do is you two were both there live. I saw it later in full. Warrington with the home team. Greg, your thoughts on that game?
A little bit disappointed, to be honest. Great result for me. They look fit, they look strong. The first 20 minutes dominated our back. Thing that kind of confused me was the wholesale changes at half time from Sam Burgess. So in effect, we've given our first team quarter of the game to get ready for the season. So early days.
Yeah, okay. Okay, I'm going to be judge, jury, and execution on this. I'm going to let you both have a go. Steph, Leigh Leopards?
I was very impressed with Leigh. I think they did really well. They looked ready to play. But we played pretty much like team last year. So I wasn't expecting anything different other than us to continue where we left off last season. Warrington, obviously new coach, new things they were trying, and at the end of the day, it was 12-6 at half time when you were looking at both, both starting squads against each other. I think from a Warrington perspective as well, you didn't have Paul Vaughan, who was your, the top meter maker in Super League last season. So yes, Tom Amon had a great start, and Mulhern had a great start, and we did dominate. I think that middle. If Vaughan's there, I think it could have been a different story. So I wouldn't be too disheartened from Warrington point of view. I think we're going to be two very close sides this season, but you can't read too much into friendlies. And the signs were good for Leigh, and we did play well. I think the biggest win for me was having a pint with Reggie in the Warrington market beforehand.
Happy days. I mean, I think what I would say, having seen the game, I thought Leigh got out got out the traps. I mean, it was back to last year, and Steph and me spoke about this last night, and the fact that if you looked at the Leigh side that started at Warrington, very reminiscent of the team that played last year, with the exception of Moylan coming in, and I thought Moylan had a great game, I have to say. But then Warrington got themselves back into it as the first half continued to go. And 12-6 at half time. If this was a normal Super League game, it's game on. I mean, it's the same as in fact, we'll jump across to the Warriors game. That was 6-0 at half time. Yes, Wigan won 40 points to 0, but it was 6-0 at half time.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. Like I say, it just seemed the thing that was strange for me was Sam Burgess didn't give enough first teamers enough of a run out. He obviously knows what he's doing, I'd like to think. So, yeah, and some of the kids stood up really well in that second half. It was only the last kind of 15 minutes that Leigh ran away with it. The kids did really, really well.
Yeah.
But it just seemed a strange decision to take most of your first team off at halftime when they didn't play in the first friendly.
Well, I mean, I don't think Warrington were alone with that. I know St. Helens in the second half did wholesale changes. I think Daz Clark only did 30 minutes for Saints in that game. So I think that there was a few teams that did similar.
Yeah, I just find it strange that you don't give them more of a run out.
Fair play. Catalan 88, the Elite One. Does this add any value to Catalan playing the Elite One? I mean, it gets them on the field, I suppose, but 88-6.
Is it looking at some of those players in Elite One? Are there any potential players could go to Catalan? I don't know.
Possibly. Yeah, possibly.
It's kind of like it's got its advantages in that they can work on set moves and work on defence, I suppose. But yeah, it doesn't. It's a run out. As Steph said, it gets them on the field and it's a run out.
I think what will be pleasing for Steve McNamara is Nicarima are getting a hat-trick in that. Abdul got a brace. Loads of praise coming the way of Artem Org. That doesn't surprise us here. We're big fans of Artem Org. And he, by all accounts, I've seen the highlights, but the highlights won't do its justice. Very, very pleasing on the eye, Artem Org, going into the new season. London, 18-all against Oldham, gave a penalty away right at the death. Oldham decided to slot over to draw that one. But really bad news coming out of London, of course. We've learned that the player of the year last season, the young player of the year, is out for the season with an ACL, which is a real shame. It's Leyland, isn't it? Bill Leyland.
Yeah.
Then obviously Roach. Is it Roach? I think it's Roach.
Broken leg.
Broken leg has gone out as well. And I think Beinek is also doubtful as well now for the new season. They haven't got a big squad to begin with. We looked at London's chances last week. Steph, you've just put them 11th, not 12. Not the best start this for Mike Eccles, is it?
No, and he was already going to have a tough task, which he knows, and I know Mike quite well, and he's done an unbelievable job to get London there in the first place. When you look at Featherstone last year and stuff like that, it was always going to be a tough task. But the young lad who was player of the season last year, if you watched him in that grand final against Featherstone, he was unbelievably good. Yeah. And I'm gutted we're not going to get to see him in Super League, because I think he would have been, a bit of a thing. A bit like they had a lot of unknown players last year. With your Ramones and Pappies and people like that, he could have been that for them. So I'm a bit gutted for them, really. But adversity is a funny thing, and team spirit and stuff can carry you a certain bit as well. I still think they're going to do okay, but time will tell.
Yeah, he's probably hoping to put himself in the shop window as well. If, as expected, London do go down, he's probably hoping that he'll be able to put himself out there and get a contract with the Super League club next season. So, it's a massive kid.
It's tragic. It's such a shame. I mean, I think I mentioned him last week when we were going through the London team as one of the players to look out for. And such a shame he won't be playing. Rhinos Hull KR, really good game, that one. Extended highlights available on YouTube on that one. We'll come back to Leeds in a minute. But that was a really good, solid tussle down there, and that will have done them both good. Tigers 20, Giants 14 again. Both of those sides good. So Adam Swift's try, very, very well taken from Swift.
Good try, yeah.
But what I would say there in terms of that, we did the news update earlier in the week. The wind, by all accounts, wasn't favourable to Huddersfield. What did you make of that one? Any comments?
I'm a bit worried for my mate Joel and Freddie, if I'm being honest with you, because if them are the excuses that are coming out in a friendly, what's going to happen when we put 60 on them in first round? So,
the pitch is too wet.
Right, I think Ian Watson might be turning the floodlights on the LSV. So, yeah.
Happy days. No, I mean, like I say, but again, good tussle. It was a good tussle, and there's a few laughing emojis going on there, boys, on the social media side. And Saints 52 points to 10. Again, go and watch the extended highlights. Daz Clark did 30 minutes, set up a try, scored a beauty.
Scored a great try, Daz Clark, didn't he?
He did, yeah. I thought Batchelor looked strong in that one. Wellesby's Wellesby at the end of the day. And I thought, again, Steph, you said it. You can't read too much into pre-season friendlies. Last year, Leigh lost at the wire. He went on to win the Challenge Cup and were a better team than the wire. That's and that goes for all sides. You can, we're not going to read too much in, but I think you can read in to it to the point of who are going to be the runners and riders. And I think St. Helens will be reviewing them next week. But they'll be really pleased. Whitley was on the score sheet as well. They'll be really pleased with how the new boys have bedded in. Salford, we're going to talk about them in a minute. So we maybe come back to that in a moment. Very briefly, boys, from a Saints perspective, 52-10. They'll be happy with that going into the first game of the season?
Absolutely. Yeah, I think, again, it's like you can't read too much into it, but I think what you can do is, even the game you just referenced with Leigh and Warrington last season, what happened was you two came away going, Leigh, I'm going to finish bottom.
Yeah. That's
true. So the result doesn't matter, but what you can see is a team's thinking, how committed they are, how much do they want to get that starting, 13 place, who is playing for the coach, who is making excuses about wind, that's what you can read into playing, and body language and stuff like that, do matter. Yeah,
somebody, again, don't know who it is, but an anonymous Facebook user saying that you need to put pence in the meters for the lights at the LSV. An interesting one here from Kevin Ogden. Watto will not see the season out. Wow. There you go. So that's what his thoughts are on Huddersfield. What's your thoughts there, boys?
I think there might be a few coaches who are looking over the shoulder. I think Watson's one of them. I think, strangely enough, Tony Smith might be another, and Rowan Smith as well if things don't go, because Leeds have invested heavily.
Yeah, they have
good players.
Well, we're going to be coming to that, Mo. Absolutely, yeah. We'll be Watto to his mates, may well be looking over his shoulder, but I think there's a few others who are squeaking a little bit at this moment in time.
I think Sherlock Holmes might be getting his sidekick back sooner rather than later.
Oh, there you go. You heard it here first, folks. You heard it here first. Right, okay. Well, that brings us around quite nicely to looking at another 4 squads in time for the new season. But before we do, what we're going to do is just got a little video to show. This is really important to us here at Super League Raw. As you know now, we've been coming at you for 3 years, and it costs a lot of time and a lot of money to put this together for you guys each and every week. So we're appealing to anybody who's watching here this evening. Do you know somebody who runs a company or the company that you work for who might be interested in this?
In 2024, we are inviting you to join our team. Last year, an average of 6,500 passionate rugby league fans were watching Super League Raw shows on Facebook and YouTube each and every week. This year, we expect that to double with new programmes and new platforms brought online. we are inviting your company to support Super League Raw on our journey of becoming the #1 online destination for rugby league. Sponsorship packages for the 2024 season are now available across programmes and features including Super League Raw Weekly, our weekly flagship programme watched by over 23,500 rugby league supporters last year. In the Sheds, our groundbreaking game-by-game match analysis short programme attracted 45,000 viewers in 2023. Game of the Week, the 30-minute in-depth preview show for Best Tie the Round increased in popularity from its launch in round 13 with over 9,000 viewers. Other opportunities include the new 2024 In Conversation series featuring the biggest names in the game, Super League Raw News, a bi-weekly show that captures the biggest stories from around the grounds, and of course the all-new Super League Raw podcast on Spotify, Apple Music and Amazon Music. Packages start from as little as £200 plus VAT for the 2024 season, so don't hesitate. Call David at Super League Raw today on 07368 211 595. That's 07368 211 595. Play your part in promoting the greatest game on earth as together we realise the ambition to make Super League Raw the #1 online destination for the greatest sports community in the country, the fans of the Bet-Bred Super League.
So there you go, our appeal to you. Do you know anybody that is going to be interested in sponsoring us? A range of programmes there and features for you to get behind in 2024 to safeguard the show for 2025. So yeah, if you know of anybody, throw them our way. Bruno, nice, Steph, very nice indeed. Throw them our way, and hopefully, like I say, we can reinvest that. What we want to do is, if we can get that sponsorship, we will be reinvesting in the podcast. We will be investing in the webcast, putting more competitions on. So it's not that we're pocketing that. It's going to be a case of it's going to help us to ring fence this for the future, and we can keep bringing this to you every single week. You know, at the end of the day, we're not journalists, we're fans, and we say it as it is. And that's why I think so many of you have enjoyed it over the years. Right, that's our plug over, gentlemen. It's now time to take a look at some squads. This one, the Leeds Rhinos. Greg was just about to get into full flow on this one. What we'll do, go through this squad. This is the squad. Actually, let me just take off the bottom bit. We are learning as we go this year, folks. So you know, with new toys comes a little bit of housekeeping. There you go. Now we can see everybody's name. Marvelous. So yeah, the Leeds Rhinos. I saw the 26-18. I watched it. And I have to say, I thought Leeds looked really good, really, really good. I think they have been very astute in the players that they've brought in. When you look at the retained, gentlemen, you know, Harry Newman, Ash Handley in the backs, quality. Javid O'Connor, I thought was sensational last year in the hooking role. I think we'd all agree. And I think this is probably a good place to start before we start looking at the lost in games. I think it's absolutely essential, isn't it? With Sam Lazzone, who's missed the start of the season through injury, it's absolutely essential that Mikolaj Aledzki performs this year. I was really disappointed with Aledzki last year. Don't know if he was still carrying a knock or what, but bottom line is I just felt he was pretty poor. Yeah,
compared to his season before.
Yeah,
where he was in quite a few teams of the week. And, you know, he was among the top meter makers, the top tacklers. He could well have been carried a knock. I think he did take a knock early doors, didn't he? Missed a few games early doors from memory.
Yeah.
But if he gets back to his form of a couple of years ago, Leeds will benefit from that greatly.
I was watching an interesting interview from earlier last season with Zach Hardacre. On another show, and he mentioned something which might be relevant to this in terms of getting the contract and being, you're there next season and not really having to perform. And that obviously was when he was at Leeds.
Yeah.
I don't know, enough about Leeds or what the thing is in the camp there, or whether it's the league in general, but do you think it might have been a bit of complacency that's set in with him? And if his contract's up for this season, then maybe we will see a bit of a better player this year.
Maybe. Yeah, it's a great point, mate. It's a great point. But again, I always found that a bit disappointing. I mean, I get it; it's your family's livelihood, etc. But the best way of securing a new contract is what you do.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And we've seen it. We've seen it at Warrington. We've seen players playing out the skin, get a new contract, and then become anonymous.
Yeah.
So sometimes the reverse can happen. But I always think that players who are getting to that complacent zone are opening themselves up to all sorts of injury problems.
Well, another one at Leeds was thingy, weren't it? The halfback Blake Austin, Europe former. How good did he start playing? And then when he was playing for his contract.
Yeah. Case in point.
Spot on. Justin Sangare, he played pretty strong in that Robins game as well. I have to say, the back rows are who's who, isn't it? I mean, let's be absolutely honest. I mean, Reece Martin quality. Cam Smith last year was simply sensational. Had another good game against KR as well. I have to give him credit. James Bentley, Tom Holroyd will be missing, as will Mikel Gudemon. They are touch and go for the opening game for the Leeds Rhinos against Salford. Obviously, James Donaldson, of course, his testimonial. Morgan Gannon, everybody's talking, waxing lyrical about the potential of Morgan Gannon. So when you look at who they've retained, I think we'd all say some real stellar talent in there. What I'd like to do now, like we did last week, and Greg, I'll come to you first. Let's compare and contrast. So in the backs, Liam Tyndall, Nene McDonald, Luke Hooley, Richie Myler. Bit of experience there. Obviously, the McDonald debacle was well placed. But he brought in Lachlan Miller, Lockie to his mates, and Momorowski. And I have to say, well, first of all, Greg, to you, stronger or weaker in the backs?
I think they could very well be a lot stronger.
Yeah.
I think Harry Newman has to stay fit.
Yeah.
I think Luke Hooley could have been a bit of a loss, but I think they could very well be a little bit stronger in the backs this season.
Yeah. Steph?
I mean, Nenny McDonald's a class player. I think that affected him last year when he went. I think it threw everybody off. Myler Quinn to the end of his time. Luke Hooley, I don't think was ever good enough to play for Leeds.
Right.
So
I thought he had the potential. I think he might be
I watched Luke Hooley. Obviously, my roots are Championship, and I saw quite a lot of Luke Hooley at Batley. And he was always a very good Championship player, but he was never, it was never going to be a star Super League fullback for me. But that's just my opinion. His mum will probably disagree with me. I think the big one for me is how Harry Newman performs and whether he's got some rid of this childish stuff out of him and the pedantic stuff, because he wasn't playing well enough for that at the time. He's got potential, and I think he could potentially be, an England starting centre. But he's got to, the Cam Smiths of this world and people like that have got to get him in line this year, and he could have a big year.
Well, I mean, we talked there about Nene McDonald, and I think Momorowski. I think this guy could. There's a lot of players who are getting a lot of press in terms of who's come in. You've got one of them in Matt Moylan. We'll talk about him later. But I think in Momorowski, this is an exceptional piece of business. We're talking about an NRL Grand Final winner here. A bit younger than Nene McDonald, but if you look at where they are there, 24 appearances to 19 appearances last year, 8 tries to 2, 4 assists to 3. Tackles there, 308 to 120. His meters maybe not as many, but I'm really, really excited to see what Momorowski is going to be all about, I have to say.
Yeah, I think he could be, he could very well, if he performs to his best, he could very well be pushing the Man of Steel votes.
Oh, we're going there, are we? We're going there early.
Well, if he performs to his potential,
centres from the NRL, pretty much you can guarantee they're going to do well.
Yeah, they go.
You look at the centres that we bring over. There's not been many flops, and you look at your Jamie Lyons, and I know that's going very high caliber. But even like Kieran, he's now at OKR and not OKR, Wigan. they're all pretty much a good standard that come over, because that's one of the positions where they seem to be really suited to our game. And it's a bit like when some of our boys go over there, they struggle. Apart from the props seem to do really well, kind of thing. I think it's a similar thing with the outside backs from Australia. So I think he's going to have a big season.
Well, let's hope so. And I think that, like Greg, you said it, if Newman stays fit as a partnership, that could be quite potent.
Yeah. And as Steph said, behaves himself.
Well, absolutely, goes without saying. Absolutely. In the halfbacks then, obviously, we know that Caesar and Austin went, I think we'd all agree, never shone really for Leeds. Austin had moments, but no consistency. Brodie Croft, bit cheeky, Rowan Smith, after the game on Sunday, was asked about Brodie Croft, and he said, yeah, it was Brodie Croft in a better shirt, which I think was a really good line from Rowan Smith. And Matt Frawley, of course, people will remember him from his Huddersfield days. Again, I have to say, in the game on Sunday, and I know we shouldn't be reading too much into it, chaps, but Frawley had a good game. Croft had a good game.
I know. I think Joel was a bit disparaging about Frawley last season when the news broke. I think the problem with Austin and Caesar they were too similar. They were two similar players. I think Frawley and Croft could very well complement each other.
Like us, Greg. Like us,
yes. You are my glamorous assistant, sir. You do it so well. But yeah, I think that could be the partnership that does push Leeds back up to top six.
Steph, sorry, mate. Steph, from your perspective, halves definitely improved for the Leeds Rhinos going into 2024.
I no doubt whatsoever. I think it could be the best bit of halfback, business that's been done in Super League this season. In terms of, because they're probably, I don't think anybody else has changed both, have they? Are they the only one that's changed both halfbacks?
That's a great shot. Oh no, Catalan.
Oh, Catalan, yes.
Yeah, Catalan.
With Abdul and
Catalan.
It's 100% an improvement. Brodie Croft, we all know how good of a player he's. We've all been on the receiving end of Brodie Croft. So it's a confidence thing. My only worry is I'm not a fan of Rowan Smith's style of play. I don't think he's very structured. He doesn't seem to let creative players create. So whether that changes this season because he's got that halfback pairing, I think that's the key to it. Really, you've got to let him. When you've got a player like Brodie Croft, you've got to let him just marshal the troops and let him fly. And if he does that, Leeds could be very dangerous.
Yeah. You combine Cameron Smith, that's a formidable looking spine.
Well, we're going to that now, mate. We're going to that now, obviously. I think we all were. I mean, it was interesting. I mean, if I can here, in terms of departing players, because we know Sam Walters, who will also be missing from the start of the season. We'll get to that next week when we talk about Wigan. But, the back rowers, all of them are retained. No back rowers have come in. I mean, Mikael Gudimon, I suppose, could be classed as a back rower, I suppose. But last year, they lost Cruz Lehman early doors, then A. McDonald debacle. Then Sam Walters says that he's jettisoning. They have the Caesar, they have the Austin. Probably they're not going to be given a new contract, to Steph's point. Jared O'Connor, last year for me, really stepped forward. I was really impressed with Jared O'Connor. I think many people had question marks over him. But I think, in adversity, he took his opportunity. And, of course, this year, he's going to be complemented by Andrew Ackers. I mean, again, brilliant piece of business. Considering they had no Cruz Lehman for the vast majority of last season, they were a part of the field that Leeds have strengthened going into the new season.
Yeah. Absolutely. I think Ackers is for me, one of the best hookers in the comp. Yeah. I'd have him right up there with your Darryl Clarks and people like that. And
Edwin Pape?
He's not that good. Come on, Dave.
He's no James Roby.
Yeah, no. He's right up there. He's got that bit of, because his dad's still commentating, into. I think people wanted him to fail a little bit maybe because of that. But I think he's proved people wrong, and I think he's right up there. He's a fit lad. He can tackle. He can do the hard stuff in the middle, and he can be explosive and score tries.
Yeah.
What more do you want to know?
Exactly.
Absolutely. Well, let's move on then, chaps, to their opening 6 fixtures. This is how it looks for the Leeds Rhinos, starting Salford at home in round number 1. Then it's KR away. Then it's Catalan at home, Leigh away, Saints at home, Castleford away. Vitally important they get a great result at home to Salford in round 1. Then, like I said, then 4 really tough games. We're going to know a lot about Leeds' credentials by the end of round 5 after that Hull KR, Catalan, Leigh and Saints run. That's not an easy start, is it?
No, but I think that's the test that Leeds need. And that's why I say Rowan Smith could very well be looking over his shoulder as well as a few other coaches. If Leeds fans are very patient, but they also demand a Super League winning team.
Yeah, no.
So, awesome. I think that will be. I think, well, even if it's only 6 games, I think could quite well be season defining for Leeds. And as far as how far they go with Rowan Smith,
Steph.
I think it's a good time to play some of those teams. There's been a lot of changes this year with squads. I think a lot of them were 7, 8, different players coming in. So teams are still finding the thing a bit like, going back to the Leigh Warrington friendly. Look how many changes Sam was making, trying to find his team and give people a chance or whatever. Some of these lads have not played together before. So it's sometimes to play the better teams at the start of the season is a good thing to get your momentum going, especially if you've got a bit of confidence. And if you go off that whole KR friendly, they both got stuck into each other. They both played really well. They weren't making excuses about winning. And, so it could be the start that Leeds wanted to really give them a bit of confidence.
Yeah, and of course, Leeds are one of those teams that have made lots of changes too.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
It's interesting stuff, isn't it?
It's very interesting stuff, which now brings me on to the $1 million question, gentlemen. Where are Leeds going to finish in the 2024 league table? Steph, I'm going to start with you. Where do you see the Rhinos finishing?
6th.
You think that you're going 6th? Okay, Greg.
I'm going 4th.
You're going 4th.
Yeah,
I'm going 4th. I'm going 4th. I think the business has been very assured. Kev Ogden in the chat, he's saying 7th. But yeah, I'm going 4th as well. So myself and Greg are going 4th. Steph, you're going 6th. You're Robert William Higson. He's in agreement with you. And yeah, there you go. We'll get Joel's. Joel, if you just put your name before your comments in the chat, because he's coming up as one of these Facebook users that's anonymous. Let us know where you think Leeds will finish. But yeah, it's going to be interesting. It's going to be interesting for the Leeds Rhino fans, and they should be more optimistic going into this season.
A lot more optimistic, I think,
than they were last year. Right, we now go to the team that finished just outside the top 6 last season, and of course that was the Salford Red Devils. That was the and here they are, and what a torrid winter it has been for Paul Rowley. Real problems in terms of losing their better players. Let's take a look. I mean, they've kept Callum Watkins retains the captaincy, we believe. It is, let's be fair, a good retained list. There's no doubt about it. Briley, Tim Lafay, Dion Cross. On the wing, Dion Cross this season. He come out today and said he's going to be rolling back the years. He's played there, of course, in his championship days. Mark Sneed retained his halfback. Amir Brough, he's going to be 9, and it looks like he's going to start for the season. Chris Atkin there as well as cover. In the props, Singleton, Runny Yawa, Ormond Royd, and Sidlow. And then the back row, again, we spoke about this off air a couple of times. I don't think there's ever been more talent in the back row in Super League than there is this season. I think the back row was incredible. Sam Stone had a good season last year for Salford. Callum Watkins, obviously the captain. Ollie Partington, Shane Wright, and Ben Halliwell there as well. We then go to, Well, first of all, let's just get your comments on the torrid winter for Salford. I mean, a word for the Salford fans, guys.
Yeah, they must be delighted. They've still got a ground.
Well, yeah, there's that as well. Yeah, there's that as well. Yeah,
they've lost, money-wise, ground-wise. There must have been at points where they thought, have we got a team to go forward with? So, yeah they've got, they must be absolutely gutted to see the standard of player that have gone, that have left, that's had to leave to keep the club afloat, really, I think. So, yeah, I think, sometimes tough being a Warrington fan, but it must be tougher at this moment in time to be a Salford fan.
Absolutely.
They've not been Leigh fans. You've got to talk about tough.
I did like Paul Rowley's comment over Jurgen Klopp. I have to say, I thought that was brilliant. But go on, Steph, carry on.
Yeah, I think that they've lost some very good players, some very, very good players. And one thing that Salford have been really good at is bringing in unknowns, or the people that you don't, and then turning them into a little bit of a superstar, and then making some good money off them to keep them afloat. So one thing I know, Paul Rowley, and us Leigh fans know Paul Rowley really well, is that he's a motivator. He gets the best out of adversity. It's backs up against the wall. It's the world is pooing on us, kind of thing. And everybody thinks we're going to do terrible. Let's go and prove them wrong. And I think they've not got the squad they had last year, but I still think they're going to be nowhere near relegation. They're gonna still. If you look at their starting 17, then they're still a pretty solid Super League side. The problem will be is if injuries creep into a couple of key players, then they may start to struggle. But hopefully that doesn't happen for them too early on.
And the 24-man squad, mate, and that obviously is going to cause them maybe a few issues. Andy and Sue, they're going straight in. They see them as 11th, and you can see there Robert William Hickson, he's going 9th for them here for this one. Greg, saw there on the chat around Cade Cust. Of course, the loss of Brody looks as though Cade Cust is going to be playing 6. He's the direct replacement.
Yeah,
didn't really get on too well at Wigan. I mean, this is huge for Cade Cust in terms of the rest of his career for me.
Well, yeah, he I think when he came over to Wigan, I think me included thought he was going to be one of the actual stars of the show. And he didn't really live up to expectations. So I think he'd be the first to admit that. Yeah. Whether he is, whether he can fill Brodie Croft's shoes, only time will tell. But as another comment said on there, both players are getting on a little bit, Sneed and Cust. So yeah, if those two get injured, Salford in real trouble.
I think Cust fits in, doesn't he, though, with Salford? I see him very much as like a Jackson Hastings type of player.
Yeah, you might be right there.
And I think he'll play well under Rowley. I think I think he might surprise a few people at Salford this year, Cust.
He owes it to himself as well, doesn't he?
Absolutely. No, absolutely. I think there's no doubt about that. Going back to the squad then, guys, let's have a look at the backs. They've lost Matty Costello, Reece Williams, Ken Seo, of course, on personal grounds. Joe Burgess, we're not quite, nobody's quite sure what happened there, but that might just wrangle on. Replacing them, Ethan Ryan, Nene McDonald, and Chris Hankinson. And for me, actually, you would argue that's an improvement.
Yeah. Right. Ryan's a great player from OKR. Nene McDonald, if he stays, doesn't go on a wander. But everywhere Nene's been, including my team, he's played really well, and the fans didn't want him to go. So that tells you everything on that one. Hankinson's a solid player. So I think the only one I'd be disappointed about leaving there really is Seo.
Yeah, I mean, he's been a great servant for Salford. You're spot on. And Greg, Ethan Ryan, I think there's a lot of concern that he might not be right for the opening game of the season. He's carrying a knock as well.
That's right, yeah.
But similar finally at Donald, I mean, that's a big pair of centres, that, isn't it?
That's a centre partnership to reckon with, isn't it?
Absolutely, mate. Absolutely. We spoke about Cade Cuss. Obviously, Joe Mellor, you'll know him well. Joe coming, of course, via the Leigh Leopards as covering the halves. And, Joe he's quite a versatile player, which I think is what Salford need. He can play multiple roles, can Joe Mellor. And I have to say, I think, and you saw Joe Shorrocks last year, early doors. Who can forget that game against Saints at the LSV last year? I think Joe Shorrocks has been, that pretty much came from nowhere, and that's a great signing for me for Salford.
Yeah. We're both waiting for each other. He's a solid forward, Joe Shorrocks. Puts a shift in.
Yeah.
Can let his temper get the better of him sometimes. But I think that's what you need. You need some fire in the pack.
Yeah.
I think Joe Shorrocks might well be the one that brings that.
Yeah. He did a job for you last year, Leigh, didn't he, Steph?
He did, and he came in at a good time for us. We needed that type of player, and also his experience as well. I think I recall him doing a try-saving tackle in one of our games. And he, even though he was on loan, he was really committed. And I do think Salford have got any player that comes through the Wigan ranks, as a bare minimum, they're going to be structured, they're going to be professional, they're going to give everything for the team they're playing for. And I think that's the kind of player that they're getting there at Salford.
Yeah, right. Let's take a look at their opening 6 games then. Leeds away, we know, of course, in round 1. Then Castleford at home, KR at home, Saints away, Wigan at home, Leigh at home. How massive for Salford is that Castleford game, the second game? I mean, I'm not saying they're not going to get anything at Leeds, but you look at that, you look at what I was impressed by Leeds in that game against KR this week, and I'm impressed with the signings they've made. That Castleford is a must-win, isn't it, for Salford?
Yeah. There's nothing more to add to that. Simple. Yeah, it's a must-win.
I think the Leeds first game, did you say?
Leeds away.
Leeds away. You couldn't write that, could you?
No. No. The narrative
it does make you wonder, doesn't it?
Yeah. Look what you could have won, lads. Yeah. But is it too early to call that being a big game? Is that a Wakefield Castleford game?
Well, yeah. I think those are the type of games that I think are going to have a massive impact on those bottom 3 or 4 places. This early. I mean, you look at those starting 6 games. 4 of them are a real test, real test. And I think the most ardent Salford fan would look at that first 6 games and say, we have to win Castleford. If we don't beat Castleford, they would probably question, could they beat anybody else?
Who's the other test then? If you've got the 6 games, you pick 4 who's the other one on Castleford?
I think
it's Leeds, Saints, Hull KR, is it?
Yeah, they're all tough there.
Leeds the 6th game, isn't it?
Mate, I don't know. I just think that's a real tough start for Salford. I really do. Castleford, that is huge, and I think it'll be played. I think it will be played as a final, even though it's round 2. I think it's a game that Salford have to go out and deliver.
Wow,
indeed. Right. So anyway, where are they going to be then, chaps? Salford. Greg, starting with you. Where's Salford going to end this season?
I've got Salford in 10th.
Steph?
8th.
Oh, that's a big shout. And didn't you just say FC 8th?
No.
Did you not?
No.
Okay. Where did you put? Where are you putting FC?
Because I was on last week. I put? I've got Castleford bottom.
Yeah.
London 11th.
Yeah.
Huddersfield 10th.
Right.
Hull FC 9th.
and then you're going to put Salford 8th. Yeah.
Salford 8th.
Okay, interesting. Right, a lot of people coming in on this one. They can see Nicola Burtonwood. She's going 10th.
Thanks, Nicola.
Is Darren Soletico. Good evening to both of you. We hope you're enjoying the show. Right, now we come to the next team. Oh dear. Yeah, so the Warrington Wolves, of course. That's where we're going next. One close to mine and Greg's heart. This one, of course.
Yeah.
Where they come, the Warrington Wolves. Right. Let's take a look. I mean, first and foremost, the retained. There's plenty of quality there. I mean, there's no arguing. You know, whether they turn up or not, you know, we will wait and see. But plenty of quality retained at Warrington. Matt Duffy finished the season incredibly well. Who can forget his display at Hull FC? Brilliant solo try and a step of absolute majesty in that one for the setup of George Williams in that game. Fewless, of course, Ratchford, Ashton, Conor Wrench, big things expected from him this season. Matty Russell, of course, we know can do a shift when called upon. Williams, captain, of course, Josh Drinkwater, massive, you know, even today, Sam Burgess out talking about Leon Hayes. He's not a million miles away, so big pressure on Josh Drinkwater, I think, going into this season where Leon Hayes is concerned. Danny Walker goes without saying. Harrison had a great game against you on Saturday, I thought. Paul Vaughan goes without saying. Joe Bullock, Gil Dudson. Any surprise to see Dudson still there. Luke Thomas, who looks like he's going to be out for a period of time, picked up what looked like a knee injury at the weekend. Ben Curry, Matty Nicholson, of course. Joe Philbin, Geordie Crowther, who was brilliant last year for Warrington, and hence why they kept hold of him. Adam Holroyd, you just saw in dispatches, of course, against St. Helens. Lucas Green and Tom Whitehead. So, you know, by any standards, it's a good retained list. Now let's get into the lost and the gained, shall we? It's fair to say, in fact, I think we'll start with this, gentlemen, if I may. It is fair to say that last year, as much as I think Carl Fitzpatrick came out and said, I think on another podcast, that he felt that the Warrington team was balanced. I think as the season went on, they were not balanced in the backs. You know, I think the Matautia-Ratchford combo at centre didn't work for Warrington last year. They've got the pace on the edges, we know that, but that didn't work. A lot of recruitment, of course. Minikin allowed to go. Matautia retired. Jack Derbyshire, of course, comes to you. We'll talk about him later. But Toby King, Wesley Bruins, and of course Roderick Tye come in to compete with Ratchford, Conor Wrench for those centre positions. Greg, over to you. Fair to say the backs look stronger.
Yes, they do. It's difficult to see where Stefan Ratchford's going to fit in. I thought he'd been named captain this season.
No, club captain.
Club captain. Fair enough.
Club captain.
Yeah, I mean, Roderick Tye is going to be out for a while, which is disappointing because I think he scored more tries in one game at Halliwell Jones World Cup than our other centres did all season. Answers on a postcard. Wesley Bruins, an unknown quantity, didn't make the squad through injury. So Toby King, if we get the Toby King of the last 10 or 11 Wigan games, then definitely stronger. We get the Toby King that left to go on loan to Huddersfield, then I'm not so sure. Hopefully Sam Burgess, because when he came back, Sam Burgess told him he wasn't going to be automatic first choice. So hopefully with Rodders being injured, he might get a chance to stake his place. Yeah. If that's the case, then marginally stronger, I would say. I mean, yes, any side. Well, I don't want to be disingenuous, but Matautia wasn't the best last season for us. Yeah. I think age, if I'm being genuine or generous to him, I think maybe age and injuries caught up with him. Yeah, I would say slightly marginally stronger because we've got more depth.
Yeah,
in Roderick Tye. Wesley Bruins again, an unknown quantity because he didn't.
He's got the build, mate.
Yeah, he didn't. I don't think did he play any games for Saints? I can't remember whether he did play one Super League game or
might have played one.
Yeah,
might have played one. Yeah. I mean, look. I mean, for me personally, I think Conor Wrench will benefit from Burgess coming in. I think I just hope he doesn't get a 2-game ban. I think he might do for that head shot at the weekend, which is such a tragedy. I think that's why he did the minutes he did on Saturday, because I think even Sam Burgess thinks he might get.
Well, him and Dwyer might be out.
Yeah, for the mandatory, but I think Connor Wrench for me is showing signs that he's going to be quality. Kevin Ogden, yes, I do believe Jack Derbyshire is Paul's lad. Is the answer?
Yeah, he is Paul Derbyshire.
He's Paul's lad. And yeah, from your perspective, Steph, backs for Warrington stronger this year?
Yeah, I think they've recruited well. I think the key one for me is players like your Thulis, who I know is not a recruit, but if he gets game time, what I've seen of him, he seems like he could be a superstar. And I think, yeah, if it all depends how Burgess gets to get him playing, really. And I know that's a very easy comment to make, but I think so much. Warrington's always got talent. They've got so many good players. It's having the right manager there for him, and if he can get him playing right, then yeah, they should be quality.
Obviously, Riley Dean allowed to leave the club in the half-back position. In the hookers, obviously, Darryl Clark allowed to leave. Massive blow. I mean, every Warrington fan would have liked Darryl Clark to stay. Aidan Doolan, a surprise, a young kid that was in the academy, was allowed to leave as well.
That was a bigger surprise than Daz Clark going for me. Aidan Doolan has the potential to be as good as Daz Clark, if not better.
Yeah, I mean, Clark does fill a void. Does that void get filled with Sam Powell's experience and Brad Dwyer?
It's a difficult one. When Brad Dwyer came on Saturday, he lifted the team. And we've said that for a few years now. When Brad Dwyer comes on, a lot of people don't rate him, but when he comes on, he lifts the team and he does a lot of hard work, and he's busy around the ruck. Sam Powell has got great experience. Strange that Wigan would let him go. So that, I think we'll need a few weeks to I think Dwyer might be out for 2 games as well after his high shot. Yeah. I think time will tell on the Daz Clark hooking situation at Warrington.
Yeah. I think Walker's, Steph, you're from the outside looking in. I think the emergence of Danny Walker needs to be given his head now, doesn't he? That I think has probably led to Darryl Clark leaving the club. I mean, I do know that Warrington offered Darryl Clark a contract, but I think St. Helens offered him more. And I think Warrington were probably a bit reluctant to go any stronger with Daz Clark because of Danny Walker's emergence.
Yeah, I think the time was right to let him have a go. He's a quality player. He needs that to be that number one hooker, I think, to really shine in that team and really set his 'cause it's a bit like when Roby was at St. Helens, he had Mickey Iam in front of him, and Mickey Iam had Kieran Cunningham in front of him. It's the same thing. And the good thing at Warrington is you've got some quality hookers coming through. It's a similar kind of stepping stone, and I think probably now the time was right for Walker to step up. And I think Dwyer's a good backup to come on, because he's a very fit guy. He's all over the park. He's tackling. He's doing all the work, which is what you need when legs are tiring towards 30-40 minutes kind of thing. So hopefully they should complement each other. I'm a bit more confused with the Sam Powell one, if I'm being honest. I think you've got 3 very similar quality hookers there, so it's going to be difficult to keep all 3 of them happy. I think Walker is above them. I think he's the definite number one, but he's not a world-class hooker compared to an average hooker. They're all on a similar bracket for me.
Yeah, I think for me, the different type of hookers. I think Danny Walker, he's got the game. He can run out of dummy half. He's got a decent kicking game as well in terms of 40-20s and this, that, the other. He's good at that. I think what Sam Powell brings is a different type of hooker. I mean, Greg, we've been doing this now for 4 years, and I think in terms of top performers of the week and top performers of the comp, one thing we know about Sam Powell is he tackles.
Solid in defence.
In those tough games, Wigan, any top 6 team. He is going to, where you need to build into the game, build a platform into the game, win that first 20 minutes in terms of territory and around the ruck. I think Sam Powell adds something, and then Walker can come off the bench, once defences are tired and do what Walker can do. Daz Clark, and Walker combined, very similar players in terms of that in and around the ruck. So I think these two, for me, I think Sam Powell, I get your point, Steph, in terms of it's confusing, but he brings a wealth of experience. And Greg, he calms things down as well, doesn't he? He calms
Yeah,
things down.
he does. He does. Like I say, you might even see Sam Powell slotting in the halves or at loose forward at some point.
I was just exactly. You just stole me thunder there, Reggie, because what I was going to say, there are all three of those are too good of players not to be in the 17. So what you're going to have to do is one of them is going to have to become a loose forward.
Yeah.
Well, but then again, though, how can he? Because, we've got the likes of Geordie Crowther, who's going to be loose forward. Matt Nicholson's been given number 13. Look, that's a good headache for Sam Burgess to have. Dawn Baker knows Sam Powell really well. Of course, Dawn, a Wigan fan. She's talking there about his organisation. We saw Callum as well, questioning Brad Dwyer's defence a moment ago.
Yeah.
But in the hooking department, go on, call it. Weaker or stronger, Greg?
Marginally weaker.
Steph?
Well, I think you're stronger.
I think
marginally weaker.
I would say I think it's probably cancelled itself out, is what I would say. No more than that. If I was gonna say anything on that. Now we come to the props, and one of the things a fan's favourite at Warrington, was of course Tom McHaley. I mean, everybody at Warrington loved a bit of Tom. There's no doubt about that. Great player. Coming in to replace him this year is Zane Musgrove, and I think this is a real pivotal one. Lachlan Fitzgibbon in the second row. We've got, again, Warrington, like many of the clubs, the back row forwards across the league is superb. But I think Lachlan Fitzgibbon, everybody's excited by Fitzgibbon. We're sweating on him. Obviously, he went off at the weekend, but everybody expects Fitzgibbon to be great. I think it'd have been too easy to pick up Fitzgibbon. I think Fitzgibbon's the signing. I mean, Toby King potentially, if it's the Toby King of Wigan last year, but certainly Fitzgibbon as a Warrington fan is going to be somebody that everybody's happy to see. But this particular one, I think, is crucial. I mean, McHaley was a wrecking ball for Warrington, especially early doors. Didn't quite. I mean, he come back to a team that was a bit all over the place, but Zane Musgrove really does need to perform. You can see there in the head-to-head, McHaley 3 tries to 1. This is against Musgrove last year. Offloads McHaley more, tackle bust McHaley more, clean breaks McHaley more. He did more tackling. I mean, we must appreciate that those stats are an NRL Zane Musgrove against the Super League Thomas McHaley. There is a difference in the competition, so that might level it off. But I think if Warrington are going to do anything this season, this is critical, Greg, isn't it? It's critical. Yeah. Zane Musgrove hits the ground running.
It is, and he was solid without being spectacular. And I think that the 35 minutes he had against Leigh on Saturday night, he wasn't the wrecking ball that McHaley was, but his first game. A lot depends on how Musgrove and Vaughan do.
Yeah,
in the front row.
Yeah. Let's not forget Jimmy Harrison as well. I thought Harrison was sensational.
I think Harrison is somebody who will come off the bench this season more than starts.
Mm-hmm.
But I think those two need to lay the platform down early doors to allow Harrison to come on and to do what he does, and maybe Philbin. Looking for a big season from Philbin this year.
Yeah,
his last season had a lot of criticism, but he came back from a really serious injury. Let's hope that's behind him, and he can be the Philbin of 3 or 4 seasons ago.
And I'll get your take on Musgrove, Steph. Also, let me throw in the mix Max Wood. Against Wigan, sensational, and again, didn't do too badly against yourself. So don't want to be too disparaging. In a Matty Nicholson kind of way, Warrington could have poached a good one there, albeit Wigan let him go.
Yeah, I watched the Widnes game on YouTube, and he seemed like a really good. He's a prop forward, isn't he?
Yeah.
From Wigan. He's definitely one for the future. I think he could be a really good acquisition. He held his own against some of our big lads as well. On Friday night. So and I think him and the young fullback who we've talked about, but I keep forgetting his name, the double-barreled lad.
Kai Taylor-Ray, brilliant.
Taylor Ray, is it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Kylo Ren.
Say again.
Kylo Ren.
Taylor Swift. He's potentially one of the most exciting young players I've seen in a while.
Yeah.
So there's a lot to be optimistic about at Warrington, I think, this season.
Just to make John Wilkinson happy, he's put in the chat our thoughts on Ben Curry. Briefly from me, needs a big season, Greg.
I was just you took the two words out of my mouth. Big season for Ben Curry. Fitzgibbon and Harrison and Nicholson can quite easily slot into second row.
Yeah.
He's not been quite the same since the two injuries to his knee, and you can understand that.
Yeah.
But he does need a huge season this season, Ben Curry.
Yeah. You'd agree with that, Steph, I presume?
Yeah. I didn't really notice him much on Friday.
I forgot he was on, to be honest.
So
I think Greg's point is the point. There's that, there's players there now. Crowther, Nicholson, Philbin can play loose forward and in the back and mix it up a bit. Fitzgibbon coming in, he's going to have to be on his game. There's
Whitehead and Holroyd as well. They were just
Holroyd as well.
Yeah.
And you've got the likes of Nolan Tapia, who's all right. I think this year's going to be probably more Crusaders and Widnes, but he's coming up on the rails. Good young talent in Nolan Tapia. And it would be a miss not to mention Aaron Lindop as a centre as well. He's going to be a good player as well.
God, yeah, he's going to be a good player.
He's going to be a hell of a player. At 17, a 4-year contract Warrington have given a 17-year-old. That's how highly rated Warrington see him. Right, okay, let's now look at the first 6 fixtures of Warrington. We know they're going to Catalan away. Tough start. Then it's FC at home, Castleford at home, KR away, London away, and then Catalan back at the Halliwell Jones. Catalan twice in the first 6 rounds. It's not the most unfavourable start for Mr. Burgess. This, I think, difficult first game. FC Castleford. If you're going to be, no disrespect here to our black and white supporters, but if Warrington are going to do anything in 2024, those first 2 home games they have to win.
Yeah. I agree. Who was after Castleford at home?
Castleford, then it's KR away.
Yeah.
Then it's London away, and then it's Catalan at home.
I think the pivotal game there is London away.
Right.
I think we'll know a lot about Warrington because that's one of
perspective.
Yeah, that's one of the games that historically trips Warrington up. And I think, go to Catalan, win or lose. Catalan are a good side. You come away with something, you've played well, but I think the game away to London will say a lot about what team we've got this season.
Yeah, I think Joe Lane in the chat said, I don't know, Dave, he won the first 8 it was last season and still came up stuck. Well, yeah, you're right, and you're absolutely right. But I think that you look at those fixtures, Catalan away, I think you toss a coin. First game of the season, it's going to be a cracking game. Reg, this one's for you. Gary Robbins, it's coming on the screen, mate. Sorry about this, but that's what Gary's got to say about your comment over London, mate.
Well, I didn't say we wouldn't win. I'm just saying it'll be the big test.
He must have seen my eyes grow.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, no, but anyway.
I think you've got the best time to play first game of the season, Catalan in February, and it's cold. Perfect. You don't want to play Catalan when it's 29 degrees in the middle of July, because that's what plays into I think it's the perfect time to play Catalan. So you guys should be replicating what you did last season with them starting fixtures.
Yeah.
For me.
Well, Gary Robbins, he's backing. Leigh Lawless, he's backing up Gary Robbins now in the chat. I won't bring that on screen. We'll just leave that alone, Reggie.
Is he saying? Is he calling me?
Yeah, he's banging it in there. He's banging it in there. Right, now we've got a call.
I never said we'd lose.
Where are Warrington going to finish? I'm going to go straight away. I think we'll sneak in the 6 again. I think we will remain at 6. That's my take, and I think they'll be in the playoffs. Greg?
And I hope I'm wrong. I think there are 6 stronger sides than Warrington, and I'm putting them 7th.
Okay.
I think it's a season for consolidation.
Right. Okay.
I just think this season there are genuinely 6. As strong as we might look, I think first season coaching for Burgess, I think 7th, because I just think there are 6 stronger teams out there this season.
Okay. Steph?
And it hurts me to say that.
Whoa. Steph's going 4th for the Wire. Wow.
Oh, you're right.
Wow. I'm going to go, like I say, I'm going to go 6th. So Steph's gone 4th. Greg sees the Wire outside the top 7. Let's give some shout outs to some of the people that are watching us this evening. Robert William Hickson, he's going 6th. John Costello, 7th. Nicola Burtonwood saying 6th. Craig Rigby, 5th for him. Callum, he thinks they'll go 4 and 2 in the first 6. 4 wins, 2 losses is where he sees it. So yeah, there you go. That's what the guys are saying in the chat. Right, not long to go now, folks. Just one more team to review before we sign off for this second pre-season Super League Raw Weekly. We hope you're enjoying it. Building up, of course, to the grand kickoff in just over a week's time. Come on, baby. That's what we're talking about. Super League is back. Right, okay. Let's get into this little nugget. We've, of course, got Steph with us this evening. This is the Leigh Leopards squad. Again, I'll go through it, gentlemen. In terms of retained, again, it's a who's who of rugby league, isn't it? Gareth O'Brien, Tom Briscoe, Hardacre, Latelli back from injury, of course, Josh Charnley, Ed Chamberlain, Keenan Brand. I always get his first name wrong. Say his first name, Steph. Mr. Hanley.
Which one?
Hanley, 24. Eloise lad.
Oh, Ash Hanley.
No,
Umyala.
Umyala, sorry, I don't want to get it wrong. Umyala Hanley, Jacob Jones, obviously in the halfbacks, Lachlan Lamb, dream team of last year. Speaking of dream teams, Edward Pape, of course, outstanding in 2023. Matt Davis, of course, tends to play or was playing backup hooker, may do so again, but we'll look at the incoming. You can see there, the incoming of Ben McNamara gives him a bit of strength in that area. Aaron Smith, of course, then the props. The pack to be feared, we gave them a great send-off last year on our YouTube channel, that video that went viral. Of course, Mr. Tom Amone, Robbie Mulhern. Obviously, you've got the retention there of Nakambuai. Nakambuai, there you go. Terrible with pronunciations. Yeah. Nathan Wild, Jacob Gannon, and then the back rowers again. Look at these back rowers, guys. Kai O'Donnell, sensational. All right, albeit his tackling technique let him down on one occasion last year. Jack Hughes, let's not talk anymore tackling technique. The great Mr. John Asiata, the captain, fantastic for the Leigh Leopards. Outstanding season last year. Frankie Holton's like a new signing for him. Of course, came in the middle of last year, but got that injury, which was a great shame. Ollie Holmes, of course, great season pro, and Tom Nisbet as well. Steph, it's a great retain list, but Father Time, are you concerned in terms of the age profile of the team?
No. Who's old?
Well, it's a lot over 30, mate. I mean, you talk, let's be honest here, if we're going to do it, Briscoe, O'Brien, Hardacre, Latelli, Charnley, do we need to go on?
Yeah, I think the backs.
That line, mate, that's what I'm on about, Father Time and backs.
Yeah.
Is this Warrington last year at Leigh?
Hey, don't go tearing us with that brush.
Well, last year we lacked pace. I mean, not necessarily on the edges, but certainly in the centres. And
yeah, but our players want to play for the coach.
Oh, here he goes, Darryl Powell, turn off now. Oh, dearie me.
Yeah, let's have it right on that front before we start that one. No, you're right. That there are some in the backs. I would say definitely there's some older players, but I think it's a bit of a mix at least in terms of the. It's not like we've got a team full of 35-year-olds, and I think especially with the recruitment, which we'll come on to in a bit, they are going for more younger players. But yeah. I think the biggest thing for me is the retained list. How many players have we kept? Because we wanted to keep them.
Yeah.
It's not because they're under contract or whatever. A lot of have done deals. I think the only one, there's a couple there that are wrong on your list though. I think Aaron Smith's gone to Barrow now, I think.
Yeah.
And I think Jacob Jones is a forward.
Yeah. I mean, apologies, guys, but when you're trying to put all this together,
no, just for people. Yeah, just
absolutely.
Yeah, no, the things change all the time, and there was the thing was only this week that Aaron Smith was announced, so it's only recent stuff. But I think the more pleasing thing for the Leigh fans is that our starting 17 was always strong. You know, it was a team that finished 5th last season.
Yeah.
So the key was always to see where we were lacking a little bit towards the end of the season. But if you look at Ricky Latelli, you know, he went out before the Challenge Cup and never returned. So he's like a brand new signing for us. Kai O'Donnell had a 7-game ban. So that's like a new signing for us. Then we had put the screen back up so I don't forget the Leigh lad. I know him as well, Frankie Alton. Frankie, coming from Hooker, he got injured in his first game. So that's like another new signing for us. So I know we're going to come on to the new signings in a minute. But these are all players that technically are like getting new players back. And I think if you look at how Ricky Latelli played against Warrington on Friday night, he was straight back. He had the same surgery pretty much as I had. And I know what that take, and he's back playing rugby. So, you know, that's incredible. I think that's not been spoken enough about Ricky Latelli coming back from that one.
No,
it's kind of flown under the radar, that, hasn't it?
It has.
It has. But again, it's how he comes back. Greg, I'll come to you on this point. So, I mean, I think we'd all agree that I think the reason Leigh were so impressive last season and the reason why they won the Challenge Cup last season and the rest of it was because of the pack. I think the pack was it battered people left, right, and centre from the moment the season started to the moment it ended. So the question is to you, based on the back, the backs can only play. Steph, you say it all the time. It's a well-known phrase. You know, the forwards win games, the backs decide by how much. These forwards won games. If, and forgive me, Leigh fans, if injuries come in 24, because let's be fair, they didn't have many injuries last year to key players. At the back end of the season, they did when they dropped off in the playoffs. But up till that point, but not for long periods, mate. I mean, you know, not like, you know, for long periods. I mean, the biggest, I think, lost period you mentioned was Kai O'Donnell because of his ban. That hurt you a little bit, but you rallied well. But I mean, in terms of a Lachlan Lamb, you know, Lachlan Lamb stayed injury-free. Asiat up until the end stayed injury-free. Tom Amone, who is a battering ram, stayed injury-free. Can they be that fortunate again this year? And if they weren't that fortunate again this year, does that affect things, Greg?
I think it does. I think it has to. I mean, there's no surprise that they retained so many players because what they achieved last year was phenomenal.
Yeah,
I think as we say to Steph, beyond Leigh fans' wildest dreams, there's no reason for them to make wholesale changes. Moylan, he went well. I think he looks a good player. You know, they brought in Owen Trout, who, you know, but any team, Dave, any team is going to suffer if your first choice halfback is injured or you lose a couple of props.
Yeah.
You know, so yeah, I mean, Ben McNamara, okay, fair enough. Dan Norman as well.
Good signing.
So, yeah, a very good signing. Yeah. But going back to your original question, I think any side will suffer because of the nature of what Super League is, that you have your frontline players and then you do, and no disrespect to them, you do have a lot of players who are making up the squad.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think I don't know whether Steph will agree, but
I think that's the nature.
Lose a couple of decent players, and it's bound to affect them.
Yeah,
bound to affect them.
I think that's the nature of salary cap sport, though.
Yeah.
Because you know you could argue take George Williams out of Warrington. If Warrington are going to do anything.
Well, I mean, they've got the backup Leon Hayes, and I know he's only young. I mean, I'm just looking at that. I'm looking at that squad. I mean, I think, you know, in the half. I mean, Warrington have got that foil that is Leon Hayes. They've got Leon Hayes sitting there. Looking at your squad, Matt Moylan, Lachlan Lamb. Who's the backup at halfback?
Yeah, and you're absolutely right. You know, we were. I think it's more our spine. We didn't get injuries. You know, with the exception of Asiata at the very end, which was a massive loss for us and probably resulted in us ultimately.
Didn't Parpay miss a few games?
In
Didn't he miss 4 or 5 games? He Parpe?
No, no, he didn't have that long out. He might have missed 1 or 2, but he didn't.
Did
He took a while to get in, get back going again at the start.
That's right. Yeah, it took him a while to hit his straps, didn't it? Yeah,
to get going. But yeah, I think last year we were the smallest squad in Super League, and I think we're not now the smallest squad in Super League, but I think 1 to 17, we can beat anybody, and we've proven that we can beat anybody. You're absolutely right in that if you take Lachlan Lamb out, you take Papi out, you take Asiata out, which is thingy. But I think if you look at, not that where the season went down for Leigh by any means, but if you remember, everyone was talking about the lethal left of Leigh, and it was Lamb, Latelli. Sorry, it was Asiata, Lamb, Latelli, Charlie. And as soon as Latelli got injured, the lethal left kind of, petered out a little bit. Yeah. And that was the biggest loss. And I think the most encouraging thing for me as a Leigh fan was to see Latelli back on the field on Friday night, and probably was our best player.
He had a good game.
Not far off.
Arguably, before the season before he came to you, arguably Huddersfield's best player that season.
Yeah.
The lad's quality. There's no question about that. Obviously, you can see there Craig Rigby. He's staying 6th. They've signed well. He looked great. We've spoke about this, Steph. I was expecting more in terms of the signings. I know. I mean, Moylan. I mean, let's be absolutely honest. I mean, Moylan is a great signing. Really, really good signing. I mean, this is, for those of you who are not aware, don't watch NRL. This is Matt Moylan. Great player, still only 32. Got lots to offer. 191 NRL appearances. He's represented the Penrith Panthers and the Cronulla Sharks. 37 tries in his career. A win percentage of 59%, which is not to be sniffed at in the NRL over that amount of years. He was the 2013 Rookie of the Year at Penrith. Also, he's playing Origin, Australian international. I'm going to be controversial. Look, the Leigh Leopards fans out there, you know that nobody was a bigger advocate for you guys than I was last year. I watched the Sportsman's interview with Matt Moylan. I was very disappointed in it. And I'll tell you why. He clearly did not, he clearly not done his own work on Leigh Leopards. When he was asked questions, there was a lack of knowledge there. And that concerned me, because you're going for an interview, you're going to get interviewed. Journalists tend to give you standard box interview questions. It's very rare you get a challenging one. You're going to be asked, what do you know about the club? What do you make of the squad that you're joining? And what is your ambitions for the new year? All questions to that ilk. And it was pretty underwhelming. He just didn't really have much to say about, I think he said, I've not really watched much. And it was very, and I might be being harsh, but that for me always concerns me. When an Australian comes over and when he's asked box standard questions and doesn't have, even if made up answers, even if they're not true, that really worries me.
What I think you're spot on there in terms of your concerns on that, because I had I watched the same interview, and the thing is, when you get an Australian coming over, you always think, is it a like the Blake Austin situation, or what that kind. The class. He's played for Australia. This lad, he's not got pedigree kind of thing.
And he played well on Saturday, Steph. He played well.
Yeah, he did.
You making my point exactly as I'm going to make it. So I had exactly the same reservations, and then I saw him play on Saturday. Vicky's just told me we didn't play on Friday. I had a few beers. I thought he was outstanding against Warrington. I thought he was exactly what Leigh needed in terms of what you've got to remember is we replaced someone who's played for Australia with Ben Reynolds. That's the player we've replaced. So if any Leigh, as good as we were last year, we all knew that Ben had an outstanding season. He was brilliant compared to seasons before, and he definitely upped his game. But if we want to be a team that's competing in the playoffs, that can potentially get to a grand final and be consistent, then we needed someone who could take the pressure off Lachlan Lamb. And what Matt Moylan appears in a friendly to be doing is taking that kicking game away. He's linking up with Locke. I don't know if you noticed, he was drifting across.
Yeah.
He weren't left and right. They were both going together, which I don't see very often in Super League. And I think
we saw, if you remember, Steph, in Brodie Croft's Man of Steel, him and Sneed were doing that for fun.
Exactly. Yeah, you don't see it very often. And I picked up on it straight away. Like last season, it was Reynolds on the right, Lachlan on the left. Now they're doing that, and well, I'm going to give all the teams a tip sheet here, but you watch the fullback is then linking in. Gaz O'Brien's linking in with both of us. You've got 3 potential playmakers, and then Asiata coming off that. So you talk about a lethal left. Watch what's coming with that one, and we'll see what happens. But
good point.
At the end of the day, Matt Moylan's the one of what if he's here for a payday, then fair play to him, But I don't think that's what we saw on Saturday night. I thought we saw someone who wants to play.
He enjoyed himself. From what I saw of him, he was enjoying himself.
Well, that culture. The one thing we know about Leigh is they've got a good culture. They've got a team that wants to play each other, enjoys each other's company. They have all got the same mentality, and if they don't, they wouldn't fit in that group. They'd just be ousted straight away. So I think let's give the guy a chance and see what happens. But the signs from Saturday night were he looks like he's fitted.
Yeah, no, and I think it's a great point. I mean, like I say, 2 years ago, the Croft and Sneed really at it in and around the ruck, and you're right, Moylan and Lachlan Lamb are very similar, and we don't see that enough in the modern day game for me. Halfbacks combining, we often talk about the partnership between halfbacks, but on opposite ends of the field half of the time, and you're right to make that point. Right then, gents, Greg, coming to you, first 6 for the Leigh Leopards, Huddersfield at home. Then Wigan away, Saints away, Leeds at home, FC away, Salford away. So again, not the most testing as a 6. Don't get me wrong, there's some tasty ones in the middle there.
3 tasty games in there, yeah.
But the Battle of the Borough, that's going to be what it's going to be. Saints as well. I mean, some great games between Leigh and Saints last year. Leeds, we're going to find out a lot about Leeds when they go up against. I mean, that's 4 games into both Leigh and Leeds. 4 games in, that could be a blockbuster. 4 games in, and then FC, then Salford. Thoughts on the first 6? How do you think they'll go there?
They're good. I think like you say, I think Saints and Wigan are the tests, and as Steph said earlier on.
We don't play Wigan.
Good point. Wigan's postponed. Yeah, my apologies.
Because the World Cup Championship.
That's a Brucey bonus to get a week off there.
And that sometimes isn't a good thing, to having a week off. Like you said before, Steph, sometimes it's good playing the bigger teams early doors.
Yeah.
I think probably you're looking at minimum 3 wins, possibly 4 out of those 5. I think Leeds is the one that could go either way.
It'd be a good start, and I hope for Leeds' sake, the Huddersfield one was a debacle last year in terms of where that, when will that be played and all the rest of it.
Yeah,
let's hope get that game played sooner rather than later, because there's nothing worse than looking at a league table where there's a mismatch in terms of games played. Steph, how do you think you'll do?
Well, I'd like to hope we'll it's carry on from last season and thinking, but I don't think any Leigh fans daft enough to think, it's a given. I think the key thing for Leigh is that we've kept the people we wanted to keep, and we've added to it with who we wanted to add it to. Yes, I think you could say our signings are a bit underwhelming, but I do think we've got a potential England back rower in Owen Trout. I do think we've upgraded our halfback, Matt Moylan from Ben Reynolds. So that's 2 key positions. Like I said, we've got some players back now, like the Ricky Italy and stuff like that. So let's see. But the good side is we started off at Warrington last year with a really good performance, which opened a few eyes to potentially a good league could be. Let's hope that showing the other day was the start of things to come. But in news hot off the press for the Huddersfield game, The North Stand is now sold out, so you can't get North Stand tickets. So
Fantastic.
we've not got to the Hull FC selling 17,500 for their opening fixture, but the signs are good for a big crowd, and we've already I think we've doubled our season tickets this year, so we're over 5,000 season tickets now.
Good.
It's going across the league, though, Steph, isn't it? I mean, I'm hearing this from a lot of clubs. You know, the season sales are going well.
Yeah,
you know, we're
OKR are killing it. You know, and it's such a then. You know, we should be as rugby league people celebrating the fact that these clubs are growing. You know, and it's all about bringing this razzmatazz to the sport. You know, 24,000 sellout for the World Club Challenge. It's brilliant.
Fantastic.
You know, that's what we should be. That's what we should be celebrating, not production of bloody cards for £14.99. You know.
Well, I think as well. You know, again, we gave Beaumont loads of praise last year. I thought what he did around the memberships, the razzmatazz around the different grading of memberships and the boxes and all that you were done there in terms of making it an event and a community. Again, marketing done brilliantly well. That I hope other clubs, including my own, take a look at that. That's the way to build a connection with your fans.
Oh, the memberships, Lee, is the best thing I've ever seen in any rugby league engagement sports. And and it comes back to my biggest thing, which is engaging with the youth, and the kids are the future and all that kind, you know. But seeing all those kids opening the premium boxes on thinking with the shirts inside and the season tickets and everything it's just genius. I can't understand why every club has not just jumped on it and gone, we're going to do exactly the same thing, because it's marketing genius.
Yeah.
Greg, where are you going to finish?
Where did Steph say?
He hasn't yet.
Sixth.
You're putting them at sixth?
Yeah.
Steph? Fifth. So that's interesting because you're putting them above Warrington, which I think's a hell of a statement.
Below Warrington.
No, yeah, that's what I'm saying. Warrington above. That's what I mean. A hell of a statement. Warrington finishing above Leigh. Yeah, I think there'll be a lot of Warrington fans that'll be delighted with that, and a lot of Leigh fans scratching their head on that one. But hey, Steph has spoke. Maybe he's just downplaying it so he can have his bragging rights at the end of the season. Maybe
I've not seen who's winning the grand final.
No. That's where they'll finish. In the chat, let's have a quick look. Alex Sharp put you at 8th. I don't know what Alex, mate. Come on, behave. 8th? I'd love to know who your 7, 6, and 5 is, because I don't know where you're getting that from, mate. But you could be right. Robert William Higson, 4th. Darren Seletsko, 4th. Trudy Crowther saying 4th. Dawn is saying 5th. Craig Rigby saying 6th. So with the exception of Alex, I think everybody in agreement.
Top 6.
John Preston, 4th. Vicky Sale, sorry. 4th.
Oh, don't get that all wrong.
Don't get that wrong. So yeah, absolutely. So there you go, 4th. So a bit of disagreement there in the Sale household. The wife says 4th. That's your tea out the oven and in the dog, mate. Don't worry about that. But no, happy days. So yeah, there you go. Look, we said that we're going to try and get the Gremlins out of the system. It looks as if we might have achieved that this evening, which is fantastic. We hope you're enjoying the show. We are back, hopefully bigger and better than ever. That might just be Greg.
So, definitely bigger.
But no, Steph, great to have your company tonight. Welcome back, mate.
Oh, no, it's... I've been waiting for today for a long time. So, and like I say, it was great to have a beer with Reggie at Warrington Market.
Certainly was, certainly was.
The only disappointing thing was that you weren't there, obviously, for reasons out of your control.
Father-in-law was 80. I had to be elsewhere, but don't you worry about it. I don't miss another game this season, and that's all that matters.
Absolutely.
What I would say on behalf of both Greg and I, do you want to be the next Steph Sale? Do you want to be a part of Super League Raw. Do you want to come on as a guest presenter? There was a lot of people that put their hands up last year that we met at the grand final who said, you know what, I wouldn't mind doing that. I wouldn't mind representing my team. There's a lot of teams that need representing.
Yeah.
Do you want to come on the show? We would be more than happy to have you on. You've seen Steph and Joel. It could be you. Greg, another hour and 45 minutes has flown by.
Whizzed by, sir. Whizzed by.
But we will be back next week for the final pre-season show. We will be looking at, of course, Hull KR, the Catalan Dragons, St. Helens and Wigan. We'll be looking over their squads. And, of course, we will be looking ahead to the opening round of Super League. It all starts in just over 1 week's time. Gentlemen, anybody getting a bit giddy?
Just a little bit.
Just a little bit. This show, if you missed it and you'd rather listen to it on a podcast, it will be downloaded and will be available from first thing in the morning. But on behalf of myself, on behalf of Steph, and on behalf of Greg, keep watching all your social media. Keep tracking everything. We'll have plenty coming between now and next week. And we will see you at 8 o'clock next Tuesday for Super League Raw Weekly. You can't beat it, can you?
See you next week, guys.
Weekly.